You're still able to heal your brain, though, even if you did a lot of these, physical damages to your brain, right?
I love that you can change it every day,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you go on a bender tonight, your brain is going to be worse tomorrow.
Yes.
But if you sleep well tonight, your brain's going to be a bit better tomorrow. Every day you're making your brain a bit better or a bit worse. And I have scans like Anthony Davis, the Hall of Fame running back from USC. I love him. He's the reason we did our big NFL study. He came to see me in 2007, and his brain was terrible. And he was terrible, temperamental and memory problems. And he just did everything I asked him to do. He's so much better. I have his brain 10 years apart. I mean, how cool is that? I just scanned someone recently where I have her brain 24 years apart.
How is it?
She's now 81, and her brain is dramatically better than when she was 50.
Come on.
Oh, no. It's amazing. It's so cool. Makes me so happy for her, but also makes me happy for me, because this is the idea.
Yes.
You're not stuck with the brain you have. You can make it better. But you got to have the right mindset.
Yes.
Not of, oh, I can't do this, so I'm deprived.
Yeah.
It's, oh, I did the right thing. Good for me.
Yeah.
Good job.
And that's
it's shifting your mindset. Did you ever see City Slickers with Billy Crystal?
I think I did, yeah.
So he's this New York guy going through a midlife crisis and goes to a dude ranch and trying to find his mojo, and he's with an old cowboy, Curly, and Curly goes, you just have to know the one thing. And Curly's played by Jack Palance. You just have to know the one thing. And Mitch, played by Billy Crystal, goes, what's the one thing? And the next scene, Curly dies. And so he doesn't know the one thing. But I know the one thing.
What is it?
When you do the right thing, feel good about yourself.
Okay, so master your mind and also gain psychological distance from it, so you're not wrapped up in it all day. What were the next two then, the final two?
So
secrets?
6 is notice what you like about other people more than what you don't. This is giving,
Don't judging people, you mean?
giving happiness away. No, it's shaping people. It's, my wife hates when I say this, but
Giving
I
happiness
totally
away, yeah.
believe it. Everybody's out for themselves. It's just the more sophisticated you are, the harder it is to tell. And I do this because I feel good doing this.
Yeah, of course.
And, altruism is the best medicine for your stress hormones. That when you give and other people benefit, you matter. As opposed to, I need to take advantage of this person.
Right.
Because that made me feel awful about doing that. But I shape you by what I notice about you. And I clearly do it with my children. And I clearly do it with my wife. My wife has red hair. I can get her to yell at me. Or I can notice what I like and make her smile.
Yeah.
And is that manipulative? Sort of. But it's in a good way.
Right. It's better than saying something nasty about them or seeing the
It's
worst
like,
in them.
activate your frontal lobes. Does this get me what I want? But notice what you like about other people more than what you don't. So there are really 4 animals in this book. I collect things. So I guess maybe I'm more of the persistent type than I think. But like I collect seahorses because of the hippocampus. And I collect anteaters because you have to be able to kill the ants.
Yes.
And I collect penguins.
Ooh.
And ever tell you my penguin story?
No.
So I'm a child psychiatrist. I'm in training to be a child psychiatrist, 1986. My son is 7. He's hard for me. He's oppositional. I adopted him when he was 2.5. And it's like, he's the persistent type. No matter what I say, he'd argue with me. And I'm like, and I didn't feel close to him. And I was feeling bad. And I'm talking to my supervisor, and she's like, you have to spend more time with him. And so I took him to a place. I was doing my training in Hawaii and took him to Sea Life Park, which is where they have sea animal shows, sort of like SeaWorld. And went to the dolphin show, and that was great, and the killer whale show, and that was fun, and the sea lion show, and that was fun. And at the end of the day, he grabs my shirt, and he goes, I want to see the penguin show. I want to see Fat Freddy. I'm like, who's Fat Freddy? It's a penguin. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, Fat Freddy is this chubby but very cute penguin who comes out onto the stage, climbs the ladder to a high dive, goes to the end, bounces,
That's cool.
and then jumps in the water.
That's cool.
And then he gets out, he bowls with his nose, he counts with his flipper, he jumps through a hoop of fire. And I'm like, this is so interesting. And then at the end of the show, the trainer asked Freddie to go get something, and Freddie went and got it, and he brought it right back. And then time stood still for me. Because I asked this kid to get something for me, and he wants to have a discussion for like 20 minutes, and then he doesn't want to do it. And I knew my son was smarter than the penguin. So I go up to the trainer afterwards.
So how do you get this penguin to get you what you
I'm
want?
like, how did you do all of this with this penguin? And she looked at my son, and then she looked at me, and she said, unlike parents, whenever Freddie does anything like what I want him to do, I notice him. I give him a hug, and I give him a fish.
Wow.
And the light went on in my head that even though my son didn't like raw fish, my daughter actually does, I wasn't paying any attention to him. Because I'm like my dad. I'm busy. Right. I'm driven. I'm working. And so I collect penguins as a way to notice what I like about other people.
That's cool.
More than what I don't like. And literally I have thousands of them. I actually wrote a book about this. And you are shaping the people in your environment.
Yes.
So you can notice the house isn't clean, or you can notice when the house is clean. And maybe you could be helpful.
And focus on that, yeah.
And you can focus, like my wife and I, we were in Florida and we were looking for property. And in my head, I'm like, she's gonna make a bonehead decision. And if I would have said that, it would just started a fight. I'm like, you're one of the smartest people I know with real estate. I said, what do you think? And then she just stopped. Not because I criticized her, because when you criticize someone, you bring them more toward their position. But when you notice what you like and then back up, especially with persistent people, I often call it a little hit and run. It's like, say it kindly, softly, and then don't talk about it. Because if you keep talking about it, you solidify them in their position.
Notice what you like about people. I think that's something I've tried to live by for a long time. That's a great way to build connection too, and intimacy is to notice those things. So,
which is happiness, because relationships happiness. More than almost anything is happiness.
And what's the seventh?
Live each day based on clearly defined values, purpose, and goals.
What happens if we don't have clear values, purpose, or goals?
You're thrown around by the news cycle, by the weather, by what other people's values, purpose, and goals are.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer that when you have this and you're seeing progress towards these things, it makes you happier, as opposed to not seeing progress on anything.
That's what Tony Robbins says. Happiness is progress.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned
But so doing this exercise, one-page miracle, is so important. It's called the one-page miracle because on one piece of paper, if you can put down what you want and then just ask yourself every day, am I getting it? You become so much more successful.
It's huge.
And I think it's one of the foundational reasons for my success, besides building a team. Getting the right people on the bus.
This is a very powerful and inspiring book with just so much tools, so many strategies, tools, research, images showing before and after, and lessons and nutritional facts and studies, all these different things that people can dive into. I want to make sure people get the book. Powerful, You Happier, the 7 Neuroscience Secrets of Feeling Good Based on Your Brain Type. And it's important for us to be aware of what our type is first so we can make actions that will improve that type. over 200,000 brain scans from people all over the world, 155 countries, backing kind of this research and information. So I want people to get a few copies of this, give it to their friends. You give a 30-day game plan on how to improve, all these different things. And the least you can do is try some of this. And if it doesn't work, then you can try something different. But this is an amazing solution to start working towards.
So based on the book, I did a 30-day happiness challenge.
Yes.
We actually have it at Amen University. People can sign up for it. People who finished it were 32% happier after 30 days.
Right. That's what I saw.
That's what I...
That's pretty cool.
Said. Their energy was better. Their memory was better. With all of my books, I sort of tend to wrap everything I know into, okay, what's this issue? If people pre-order the book or order the book in the first week, I'll give them a bottle of Happy Saffron and the 30-day happiness challenge and a workbook and a new cookbook.
Where do they go for that?
Go to youhappier.com.
And they can get all the information there. Okay, cool. Youhappier.com. I wanted to ask you one final question or two about how death and grief affects the brain. You lost your father a year ago, is that right?
It's almost 2 years.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
I lost my dad a month ago. Just passed away. And I remember the last time you talked about how you miss him every day. You mentioned this the last time we spoke. I'm curious about death and grief. How does it affect the brain of someone that you care about and love deeply when they pass away? And how does the feeling of grief affect the brain? And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it, reflecting and processing in a healthy way? Does that heal the brain? Does it affect it in certain ways? I'm just curious. This is something new for me.
Well, it's a normal thing, right? We all lose people we care about.
Right.
And I want people to do the right things for their brain rather than the
hurtful
wrong
things.
things for their brain. So one, know it, feel it. The week after my dad died, every day I was in my office thinking about him. I have voicemails from him, listening to the voicemails, going through pictures. I wrote his eulogy, and it was so healing for me. And I was in my office crying after a week.
Sure.
Because I was sad.
Yeah.
And it was, it was 90, but it was a surprise because he had worked so hard in his last 5 years to be healthy. But it was a combination of COVID and heart stuff. Anyways, feel it. Like spend time grieving and feeling, and make sure you have balanced memories. Like, I had a hard relationship with my dad.
Yes.
And
don't focus on all that stuff.
But I also had a great relationship
Yeah.
with him. And so keeping it balanced. And I got criticized by some of my nieces and nephews because I didn't talk about him as if he was God or if he was perfect. But, grieving is being honest and then not letting the ants come in and then doing the brain healthy habit. You need some anxiety so you do the right things.
Sure.
And doing the right things consistently help you be happy.
Yeah, so you have a moral code, you're doing the right habits for yourself, you're not just like, I'm not gonna care, I'm gonna drink all day, I'm gonna eat whatever I want, everything's gonna be fine. You wanna have some, well, if I do this